And welcome back to Holistic Healthline, your direct line to great health. And we are so pleased to have a great guest come on, Charlie Skeen, who is a certified nutritionist. He has over 40 years experience in researching and studying health, fitness, and nutrition. And at the age of 12, he overcame some significant and major health problems when his physicians failed him. And, you know, Charlie, how did you view now the, health profession as far as, they failed you majorly. What happened, and how are you still around?
Well, that's a good question. It's interesting you ask that question because when I grew up, from the day I was born, I was practically in and out of Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio, for long periods of time, up until the age of 12. I had doctors do all kinds of tests. I put scopes down my throat, and every other place. They couldn't figure out what to do with me. I had constant bleeding, and I couldn't keep food down. I was in constant pain in my digestive tract. It was a horrible time. I couldn't hardly breathe. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the man, but there was an individual whose name is, I can't think of his name right now. But the point is what happened was I was desperate for help. So I found a set of encyclopedia, I believe it was an 8-volume set, written by Bernard McFadden, that's his name, Bernard McFadden. And it cost $0.25, 8-volume set. I took it home. I read it. He told me things such as how to change your diet, clean your bowels, and all that. He ran across the country in Ohio and throughout the whole country giving lectures on health and nutrition. So within 2 weeks, I stopped the bleeding, I stopped the pain. I was so happy about that from that point, from the age of 12 up until now, I'm 66 now, I've been studying nutrition. And it's been a wonderful process. So through all of that, I've gained tremendous amounts of knowledge studying all these various things and aspects and helping other people do the same.
Should have wrapped a big ribbon around those encyclopedias and sent them to the doctors that were treating you.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I think it's sometimes when I've done lectures, I think it's kind of interesting to say that here's a 12-year-old boy who never went to medical school, solved his own problems, and yet I've had various doctors for 12 years at Children's Hospital who went to school for 8 to 10, 12, 15 years to study medicine. They couldn't help me, and I solved my problems in 2 weeks as a 12-year-old boy. Yeah. What does that say about our medical world today for taking care of people?
You're right. Right.
Now, is this what got you into the whole aspect of developing different formulas for various supplements and nutritional deficiencies?
Yes, it did, because as I grew older and I got more involved in looking at supplements and nutrition, I used to work for a chain of health food stores for 15 and a half years and help them develop programs there. But the point is, as I saw these supplements hitting the marketplace, my curiosity got the better of me because I decided, well, let's see where these ingredients are coming from, how they're made, what they're for, and I started putting all these puzzles together, and I found out very quickly that unfortunately in the health food industry today, we're still pretty much across the board pretty antiquated in our ingredients that we're using in the product. So by studying all this, I figured out, okay, we can do better if we find companies that make product that's been proven clinically that it does this or it does that, it absorbed this way, absorbed that way. And then I very quickly I found out that when you read about clinical trials on various ingredients that are put into supplements, you have to ask who's doing the trial, who's paying the money for it, and are the people doing the trial been told we want the outcome to be this way. So many people don't understand that when they read a clinical trial, there are, what's the word I want? People are involved with paying money to get the results they want to sell a product.
Yeah. And I would also assume, some of these supplement companies want to go the least expensive route possible.
Absolutely. I'll give you an example. Let's take one ingredient that a lot of people use and have probably for many years, and they're being told more and more to use it, and that's folic acid. It's even put by the government as actually ordered a mandate back, I believe, around 1998 to put it into our food supply because women were having neural tube births, and they decided, well, they're lacking folic acid, let's stick it in there. And doctors tell everybody to take folic acid, it's in your supplements. Well, to buy the folic acid that's used, it's probably for 2.2 pounds, a kilogram, you can get it for like $20-$30. But if you want a full form of folate, which the body can actually use, it's going to cost you around probably $7,000 to $15,000. So they're not going to use that. Now, why is there a difference? Well, because if you use a regular form of folate that most companies use, the body can't use it. In fact, they've discovered now, through many years of research as time goes on, that it interferes in the body with how the natural form of folate would work, and so therefore it could cause problems with our DNA repair and function. And if the DNA doesn't get repaired and function properly, guess what happens? The cells break down, cancer can start, disease sets into all the organs. That form of folate is the only one that can get into the brain, and the other form of folic acid doesn't, and interferes with how the body functions. So there's a classic example of, well, let's use the cheap form. Let's not use the good form, but let's use the cheap form.
Yep.
Earlier in the program, we had somebody ask us about proteolytic enzymes, and was wondering if you could comment a little bit. We promised that we were going to have somebody that was going to be an expert about this.
Well, proteolytic enzymes, that's just a fancy word for breaking down proteins, but basically what we have here is that in the human body, if you have a car, let's say you have the most expensive car in the world, but you don't have a key to start the car, well, the car is worthless. It's the same thing with the human body. Enzymes are critical to how we function. Without an enzyme, we don't have that key for the cells to function. We have thousands of processes in the human body. There are roughly 3,000 unique enzymes in our body that are involved in over 7,000 reactions. If we don't have enzymes, we can't digest our food, we can't complete chemical processes where cells function, we can't create energy, we can't use our vitamins and minerals in our body the way we should. So what we do here at Healthful Balance, besides I know that people are taking digestive enzymes for digesting our food, we've developed a formula that contains proteolytic enzymes and other forms of enzymes and other things in there that will actually go into the bloodstream. They're called systemic enzymes. And what they do is they go through the system and they clean out the debris that accumulates in the bloodstream over time. Cells will die off, and you've got all these circulating, what they're called circulating immune complexes. And what they do is you get damaged proteins from cellular antibodies, antigens, diseased tissue accumulate in the body parts. And what happens is they go into the blood vessels, the joints, and other soft tissues, and they become an irritant and create inflammation throughout the entire body. And as they create inflammation, then what happens is then these cell structures that are affected by inflammation become fibrotic, and then they become harder. They don't function right. You can't get nutrition in. You can't get nutrition out, or you can't get the waste material out. And then the whole body begins to break down. So we've developed this enzyme product to overcome that process.
Doesn't our body produce these enzymes on its own?
These enzymes, when you're born at birth, it's like a bank account, and you're given a certain amount of enzyme activity in the pancreas. And as we grow older, ideally the way it functions is that, like in animals, when they go out and eat their natural food supply, they're eating raw food. And the enzyme activity from the animal that they're eating helps to process the food they're eating. Unfortunately, with humans, we eat a diet that's full of dead, devitalized food. There's no enzyme activity in that food. But the body will digest it from when you put it into your system, you develop hydrochloric acid. Food goes into the small intestine where it turns into a more alkaline pH, and you secrete enzymes to break the food down further. But the pancreas over time gets worn out. It's like a bank account. You have $10,000 in your bank account. You go every day and take $1 out. Well, over time, you keep taking money out, but you never put anything in. Pancreas becomes overworked. If you look at a pancreas in a regular human, it's usually larger than a cow. Why is that? Cows get enzymes from their food. People do not, so the pancreas becomes overly large and overworked, and it runs out of enzymes. So you do create enzymes when you eat proteins. They break down and create some enzymes, but over time there are not enough in the body to do anything properly, so that now you can't digest your food properly, and you don't have enough left over either to act as a systemic enzyme to break down all these things that accumulate in your bloodstream. So you have to replace them. If you don't, you're hurting.
Charlie, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, I want to talk a little bit more about the systemic enzymes, in particular, Healthful Enzymes by Healthful Balance, and why, again, talking about quality making a difference, why you feel that the Healthful Enzymes is the best one that's out there. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Holistic Healthline, your direct line to great health, and Charlie Skeen. We'll be back in a moment. And welcome back to Holistic Healthline, your direct line to great health. And our super guest, Charlie Skeen, who's a certified nutritionist as well as formulator of excellent supplementation that of the highest quality. And quality makes a huge difference when you're talking about systemic enzymes, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. When you put these things into your mouth to go into your body, if they're not put together properly, basically they're not going to do anything. You might as well just drop the capsules or tablets in the toilet. So what we've done with the Healthful Enzymes, we put it in a formula in such a way, for example, the capsules that we use, because we used to have tablets years ago, but we found it's easier for people to use capsules. So the capsules are acid resistant. What does that mean? That means when you swallow them, the stomach acid will not break the capsule down. They won't be released until it gets to the small intestine. But if you also take them between meals without food, then you have less opportunity to trigger the release of acid in the stomach, so to affect it. But even if you did, it wouldn't affect it. But you must take them in between meals on an empty stomach for them to work. Once they get into the small intestine, of course, then the capsules will break down and release the full amount of the ingredients. Now, the ingredients that are in here are a combination of various enzymes and other things, such as rutin, L-cysteine, catalase, and curcumin. And the curcumin, by the way, is in a form, it's a patented product, and it's in a form the body can absorb more readily, because basically the ingredients and the curcuminoids that are in this product, they're hard to absorb, but if you put it in a form that will be carried more easily in the body, you'll get more use out of it. So we also add zinc in a citrate form, and we do that because zinc is essential to the body's production of making superoxide dismutase, which is also a free radical scavenger, fights off free radicals. But what this product will do is go through the bloodstream in a full complement of these combined ingredients in higher potencies here, so that they'll break down. It's like you're dissolving and digesting these circulating immune complexes. It's sort of like going through a pipe in your house that's been used for years, and you've been like a garbage disposal, for example, and all that junk's accumulated on the sides of the pipe and through the system. This helps to break all these things that don't belong in your bloodstream down. Why is that important? Because if you listen to the TV more often about in the news and places like that, in the newspaper, they're talking more and more now about how inflammation is running rampant in the United States in Americans' bodies. And now they're finding out that that is a better indicator of whether you're going to have cancer, whether you're going to have heart disease, osteoporosis, because the inflammation will actually attack the cells of the body and cause fibrosis, hardening of the tissue throughout the entire body, causing these structures to break down, causing things such as cancer, for example. In fact, most people don't know that since the early 1900s, they've been using these types of enzymes to fight cancer and reverse cancer in many cases. A lot of people don't realize that.
So it's anti-inflammatory, and it's working. You're painting a picture for me as a detox for the bloodstream. We think of a detox more, the digestive system and the liver and the kidneys. This is more like a detox specifically for the bloodstream.
Absolutely. If you don't detox the blood is like an 18-wheeler truck. And what it does, it picks up the nutrition, it picks up the oxygen, and delivers the oxygen and nutrition to the trillions of cells throughout the human body. And then on the return, the truck says, well, now we've emptied our cargo here, what are we going to pick up? So then what it does, it picks up the old waste material given off by the cells and picks up the carbon dioxide and takes it back to where it came from, gets rid of all that junk, and then it picks up its new fresh load of nutrition and oxygen and takes it back. That's an ongoing process 24 hours a day. It never stops. However, when we accumulate all this junk in our bloodstream and the body doesn't function properly and you can't absorb oxygen properly, most people don't understand or realize that cancer can only live in an area where there's no oxygen. And when there's oxygen, cancer cells die. So one of the reasons why people have things like cancer and these other problems they're having with their bodies is because they cannot absorb oxygen properly. Too much carbon dioxide builds up, too much acid. By cleaning out the bloodstream with these enzymes, you help the body's ability to reduce fibrosis, even reverse fibrosis or hardening of the tissue, to increase oxygen uptake, release of carbon dioxide and waste material, and improve the overall function and health of the entire system.
I just want to jump in because I just want people to know that Healthful Balance has a special that they're offering to our listeners. If you call 855-888-2211, or you can go to healthfulbalanceonline.com. If you use the coupon code HOLISTIC, you'll get 20% off 180 count of the Healthful Enzymes, and that's a great deal that's going on. Again, when you say there's so much inflammation, there's so many studies now correlating it to heart disease, to dementia, Alzheimer's, various autoimmune conditions increase the inflammation in our body. The toxins that we're exposed to on a regular basis increase the inflammation. Stress increases the inflammation. So there's practically, I would say there's nobody out there that's not going to benefit from taking the Healthful Enzymes.
That's true. Everybody can benefit, and here's the other upside. Even if you don't really have too many health issues or no health issues, if you're one of those amazing people that I rarely find, let's say you're exercising. Now, when you exercise, whether you exercise vigorously, of course, the more vigorously you exercise, it'll happen, but you actually create inflammation in your body because what happens is when you exercise, you're tearing cells down. And the body does that naturally to make the cells healthier, like muscle cells, for example. That's how you get more muscle size and more strength as you're tearing the tissue down to rebuild itself later. But if you take these things preemptively, in other words, let's say you're going to go work out, take them before you go work out, 30 minutes or so before you work out. You're going to reduce the downtime that you're going to feel sore, and your healing process is going to be a little bit quicker in your system, so you're going to function a lot faster and better through your exercise program. But by taking these things consistently, it's sort of, doctors are telling their patients, take aspirin to help protect you against blood clots or heart attacks or whatever, or take this or take that. The problem is all these things that you take create other problems in the body. Now the research shows if you're taking low-dose aspirin for long periods of time, researchers are discovering now in some studies I've been looking at that they're feeling that this aspirin they're taking for long periods of time is now contributing to cancer in the body. So you're not going to get away, any drug that you take, you're not going to get away with it. Something's going to happen. Taking the enzymes, on the other hand, these are things that are naturally occurring in the body. Body will use them naturally. You're not going to get any bad side effects. The only side effect you're going to get is feeling better and greater.
And not aging quite so rapidly.
Yeah, well, you're going to help reduce the aging process a little bit. Well, at least feel better, too. You won't stop aging, but people who are 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, you can have much better quality of life than you see people today have because they're not doing the right things.
Well, Charlie, we want to thank you. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Thank you so much. Again, I want to put out the offer for Healthful Enzymes. Give a call toll-free, 1-855-888-2211, or go to healthfulbalanceonline.com. You'll get 20% off, 180 count of the Healthful Enzymes when you use the coupon code HOLISTIC. Suggest that you do. Buy it for somebody that, is a holiday present.
There you go.
Help people to get healthy or well and feel great. Again, Charlie, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Okay, just want to say one thing and I'll go. You also get a free article I wrote on contributing factors for osteo and rheumatoid arthritis, spinal disc disease, and osteoporosis. You get that article, you read it, I guarantee you will improve your health in all those areas.
What an awesome bonus. Hey, thanks, Charlie.
All right. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
And again, if you didn't get that number, you can always call the Tree of Life Wellness Center or the website at 508-336-4242, and we will gladly send it out to you.